I'm Ricky.
And I'm Joe, and this is Season 4, Episode 20 of the Beer and Broadband Podcast, slated to come out on November 29th, 2021. It is almost the Fat Man season.
Yeah.
Yep, pretty close to the holiday cheer. And what we're going to talk about to celebrate this momentous occasion of, moving into Christmas 2021, not that it's that momentous, but we're going to talk about Boulevard Brewing's Magic Drip. It's a limited release brew. It is a barrel-aged, wheated imperial stout with Colombian coffee in it. So, kind of its own coffee mill.
Mm-hmm.
It's 13.5% ABV, has 23 IBUs, and one of the things that I love about Boulevard is how little they put on these bottles that I have to read off. I actually don't love that because I wish that they tell me a little bit more about their beers. Mm-hmm. But I do love their beers. Their beers are so good. So you've had a couple sips now. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not my favorite. Its flavor profile is dark.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all it's over. Every dark flavor you can get. It's got that dark coffee flavor. It's got that really almost molassesy, really, really dark brown sugar sort of feel.
Dark stone fruits I get off of it.
Yeah, I was going to say dried fruit into it. You think about those raisins and those plums and things like that.
Yeah, I get kind of a date flavor from it.
I can see that.
Yeah, which I guess there'd be kind of raisin flavor, too, that would come in. This, do you remember Deschutes The Abyss?
Oh, I remember trying it. I don't remember the flavor.
Okay, so that was our number one barrel-aged stout for a year until we tried a couple of other ones, and then it's still in the top 5 that we had on our show. This reminds me of if Deschutes had a child with dragon's milk, that's what this would be.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. It does have that kind of dragon's milky sort of flavor to it. It is, we should talk about that. Very, very sippable.
Yeah.
It's definitely got the alcohol content to it, but it's not overly aggressive. A little bit of acidity on the tongue, but it's still, wouldn't necessarily call it creamy, but it is certainly, it's full.
Yeah. It's very full-bodied. I think the reason it has the acidity on the tongue, though, is the coffee.
Yeah,
because that's one thing that those other brews that we generally don't have, this is a little bit more of it's like a coffee mel stout.
Yeah,
thing.
It's somewhere in there. And, it's really not bad. I don't want to make it sound like it's negative. It's really good. It's nice and sippable. The only thing I would say is I want a little something outside that tightly grouped flavor profile. If I had a secondary flavor or a tertiary flavor to it that wasn't just in that same category of the dark flavors.
It is also possible that as you let it set and warm up, it will develop some of those things. Because I have gotten some caramel out of this the last time I drank. I've had this before. Because I ended up having to buy a 4-pack, and I just I was oh yeah, sure, I'll just drink one. But I got some caramel flavors out of it, and that happened after it had opened up.
Yeah, I've got it cupped in my hand, and I'm gonna probably not have any more until close to the end.
Yeah,
want to see if anything brightens up with it. But overall, not bad.
I would say that this. I'm not going to rate it top 10, top 5 or anything like that because they had so many of these. But this is a really good coffee. If you like coffee and whiskey and scotch, specifically, I think in whiskey, because especially if you get an Islay scotch or something. Well, no, Islay's a little bit more salty. This one's probably more like an Irish whiskey. I guess I was wrong about the scotch. Blended scotch, with multiple scotches that are blended together and make some sort of kind of mellow, kind of nice, nutty kind of flavor. I think this is what this kind of falls into that category. And if you like that stuff, that's for you. This is for you, right? If you don't like that stuff, probably not for you. If I was an IPA person, I probably wouldn't like this because it's not fruity. It's not it's none of those bitter things. It's not it's very sweet. But I'm not. So, we've talked about my struggles with IPAs. I want to like them. But.
Well, but I do think you made a good point that it's got that coffee flavor and it's good, which is kind of rare. A lot of people like to put coffee in things. But generally, the coffee part of it doesn't taste very good. The coffee
Right.
either tastes a little stale or it doesn't actually really taste that much like coffee. This definitely has like a coffee flavor that, you know, is completely unintrusive. Like it adds to the drink more than like being this, hey, look, we poured some coffee into it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that anyone that's interested in this beer should totally try it. I'll be putting it up on our Untapped profile later so that, you know, you can kind of like see what's there. But otherwise, you know, I can't really, like, I don't even know if it's available in everyone's area. Boulevards are fairly like out there. I bumped it. Boulevard's a fairly out there, like, you know, brewery. So like a lot of people can get it across the U.S. I don't know about internationally. So I'm hoping that people would be able to get this, even if it's only like a 2021 release, that they'd be able to get it. I still think like when you get that warmness in it, it'll probably open up a little bit. I did try it with a little bit of whiskey in it, even though it's already like got bourbon barrels and stuff like that. I put a little bit of whiskey in it just to see if I could tease out some more flavors. So like I've done a couple of things like that, and I saw this person like doing this thing where they would like take it and like slurp it like coffee, like whiskey and beer and stuff. I tried that. The one that really seemed to bring out the more flavors though was letting it just rest, let the carbonation kind of go, and letting it warm up a little bit.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, let's talk about the Senheiser BT T100, the Bluetooth transmitter that I let you listen to earlier today. So, I've got opinions. Like I think though, I am a person who would use this and would use it like very enthusiastically, but it is not, I am not the person that this is targeted to overall, because I would rather sit and have like a beer or a glass of wine or, you know, a dram of whiskey while I'm sitting beside my, you know, my shit, Modi Magni combo, you know, and have the Bluetooth completely out of it, because Bluetooth's good. I'm not, don't hate it for utilitarian purpose. I like it, but when I'm got my Sennheisers on, and I want to, you know, I say Sennheisers, that could be any, because Sennheiser makes such a range. When I've got my HD 600s or the you know, HD 590 569s or the 568s that I have, you know, on, and I'm trying to listen to some music, I just want to sit down and connect up to the amp and have like that connection between us. I don't want it to be where I'm like walking around and stuff like that. You, on the other hand,
I gotta walk and listen to music, unless I'm doing something that's engaging me, like I'm programming or something like that. When I sit down to enjoy music, I don't really sit down. I get them walking around my room. That's why my Fitbit has so many steps on it. But you know, those Bluetooth little connectors were so nice, and you know, the sit down ones were also really great. It really tears me, you know, because we've played with those Bluetooth wireless ones. They're cheaper, but the quality's still good. You've got all that mobility. And in the, you know, the stationary ones, the audio quality was just so good. You know, it's a little bit conflicting. Like, I don't know if I'd want to spend all that money for something I realistically would not use very often. But man, for those moments where I am sitting down and I'm like, okay, I'm about to, you know, I've set myself to do not disturb at work. I'm going to do 2 hours of programming. I'm going to try and figure some problem out, or, you know, I need to write something, and I know it's not going to be hard, but it's just going to take time to physically type it all up. Just having that music there really like gets you in the zone, and so you want quality to be good, you know. Like, I guess technically I'm not listening to it super hard, so I just don't have to have good quality. But I mean, it was nice. It was pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm not going to try to convince you of anything like that. I will say this: my complete audiophile setup is less than $1,000. Comparative to what one generally high-end audiophile like DAC amp setup is, that's a fifth of the price. And I'm talking about the Bluetooth transmitter, the TosLink switch, the CD player's multiple CD players that I bought that are like classic CD players, and the Ship Modi stack, the Modi Magni stack that I have, and the headphones that I generally listen to. That was all like $500-$600. Well, no, it might be closer to $700. That's still less than $1,000. That's less than a fifth of the. Whoops, sorry about that. Keys in the background. That's still less than a fifth of that. So I think expensive is relative. I'm not saying that it's not expensive, because definitely I could buy a Steam Deck for that, right? But the enjoyment that I get out of it, and the fact that I could plug other things into it and have, I mean, and we're going to talk, like, next topic is going to be about the TosLink thing that we set up to be able to listen through that amp. There's something that's like kind of nice. Like, I get to feel like the thing, right? And I can also, like, I can run it out of my, so like if I had a stereo system and I wanted to like listen to it, which I do, I have like some Sony PDC 100s, there's some Sony bookshelf speakers that I got because they were like entry grade audiophile, bookshelf speakers, and I listen to them all the time while I'm sitting up here in the office. I know sometimes you'll come on a meeting, you'll hear me, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm like trying to turn off my music and I can't turn it off, and it's just like, in the background because it's right there by that mic. But like I'm sitting up here and I'm listening to music, or I go over and I sit in my recliner when I want to play a video game. Like I'm on my Switch and I'm like, man, I don't really want to listen to this over the speakers that are over there, which I've got like a decent like setup even over here that's like it's not a great like audiophile grade or anything like that, but it's an okay sound bar and sub over here, and that sounds pretty good. But there's sometimes that I just want to like really have like a connection to it, so I put it on my headphones, and just having it through that Ship Modi like setup, it gives me a lot more flexibility. So I do think that the Bluetooth, I've spent this whole episode talking about this. I think the Bluetooth thing is like super good. Like the quality's there, and like I'm moving away from it. But I think that for me, it's more of like a component in that system, because there's sometimes that I need to like be over in my cabinet over there behind you, like in my thing there, or I need to like kind of move around, and I still want to have the headphones on. I don't want to listen to like my AirPods. I don't want to listen to anything else like that. And that FIO BTR3K is good enough sound quality that, and I can carry it as a travel DAC, that I can like do something. And then compared to something like the AirFly that we talked about, like I guess it was last year. Was it last year?
I'm not sure.
But it was another Bluetooth transmitter that we talked about, and that was okay. Like it wasn't bad, but the sound quality is like 10 times as good, and it's only like $65 to $75 to get one of those Senheiser setups, and it'll do optical in, and it'll do RCA or line level in. So, I can't really like fault it. Like for the money, it is totally worth it. I totally see what you're saying about that, but I also, it's hard for me to say that that's expensive. Like when it comparative to other things.
Compared to your other options, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's very economical. It's just how economic is it to nothing?
Yeah, but nothing doesn't give me eargasms.
Yeah, that's true. It depends on how much you're really going to use it. I think that's the takeaway. If you move around a lot, get the Bluetooth one. If you don't move around a lot, then the stationary one sounds great. It's not that much more expensive comparatively. Yeah,
it's not. I mean, it's double the price, but I think though, if that's a good point. If I only had $150 to spend, or if I only had $200 to spend, I'd start out with getting Bluetooth. The Senheiser, I just plug it into my computer and go with that. Yeah. Totally can see that. Because you can just get one of those 3.5 millimeter cables and just connect it to it. You're good to go. So let's talk about the TosLink thing that I completely. And then we're going to talk about the shoot. This is going to be a little bit longer episode. It'll be okay. We got time to do it. So let's talk about the TosLink real quick before we hit the CD player shootout and find out the results, which we haven't found out yet. So basically the idea is from like a CD player or whatever, run into either the Modi Magni, like combo or something like that. You have a TosLink switch and you can select your inputs. It's an input selector, not a big deal. But versus and you saw RCA selector, $8. TosLink selector, 50, or maybe I think the RCA selector was $20, but it also does video. So if I wanted to do old PlayStation or something that, versus this thing, which is only digital audio, that was 20 or 15 or something like that. But then you have to get the cables to go with it, and that's an added expense. So I think total it was $40 for for 4 cables, and it came with one, and those cables would connect to a CD player because they're the mini TosLinks. So if you had some CD players that had optical out and you wanted to listen to them, and maybe a computer, because most computer my my board over there has an optical out, you're going to get less interference. You can run that near a power line; it's no big deal. You just can't kink the cable. The cable can't get kinky. So what's your opinion of that? I know we talked a little bit about it.
Yeah, I really liked it. One of the things that 'cause people really focus it on headsets, and the headset you listen to is really going to change your music, which is true. But also the source of your music is going to change your music a lot.
Yeah.
And you can be one of those people that micro tune everything on every device so it sounds exactly how you want. But just listening to the few songs I listened to today, there were, while not huge differences, there were differences between the songs that were played on the laptop versus played on the CD player. And not in a negative way. Not one sounded better than the other. They just sound a little bit different. The ranges are a little bit different. The clarity on certain parts are a little bit different. So if you're really one of those people that, is really, really into the quality and you really like songs that sound a particular way, you might find yourself in that situation where, this song, I really like it on the CD player. This other song, I really like it off the FLAC file on my computer. And this is a real easy way for you to switch between those things.
Yeah.
When you're sitting there listening to your music.
Or if you had a record player that you wanted to be able to connect, and it had an optical out.
Exactly.
I don't know if there's any record players that have optical. Let's just
there's some digital ones now. I'm sure there's some out there. But that's really where I saw that benefit. If you're one of those people that's going to get really deep down into those weeds, and you're going to say, "Hey, I've got," or you might have devices that can't all play the same formats. So man, that MP3 over there sounds really good, but I just love that FLAC file a little bit better, and that plays off of this other device. You can have those all feeding in kind of the same system. And instead of you having to disconnect your headset and walk over to that device, do all this stuff, it's CD's number 1, my other device is number 2. I like to listen to this song on number 2.
Yep. And that has a remote too. So if you were wanting to change it or whatever, you don't even have to be sitting beside it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess the moral of the story is get yourself a TosLink switch. It'll make your life a little bit better.
Yeah. Oh, I love those little switch things. I used to have them for video game consoles you were talking about before. They just make life a lot more convenient. They're fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, the RCA switch, which we're going to talk about in a minute, was I don't know if it's worth so I think for me, I still haven't decided if the optical audio is worth it versus the RCA, the copper audio, kind of connector. Because I've never really gotten into optical audio. I have a few devices that have optical ins and outs and things like that. But the idea that I can run a cable from that computer that's about 25 feet away over there over to here, and then plug it in, and it can run beside all the power cords that I have there, and it's not going to give any interference. That kind of, I'm like, that's that's a good like kind of, thought that I could have this thing. And I've got this Fio headphone amp over there. I could even like have that kind of in the daisy chain so that I can like just like there's so many things that I have over there that I'm like, oh, this is really good. Anyways, it kind of appeals to me. So let's spend the last little bit of this episode, the last 5 to 10 minutes, talking about this personal CD player shootout. Now, I'm going to pull out one of the keys that we have that doesn't have anything written on it, and I'm just going to kind of go through what we used. So we had basically the Modi, I believe, is the headphone amp, and the Magni 3 is the DAC that I've used traditionally. We took the Magni 3 out because this was all an analog. Well, it was all digital anyways, so there was no reason to have a converter from digital to analog. It just all went to the headphone amp. But we used the Sony DEJ825, and on that, because I haven't told you which one of these was which. That was an optical out. We used the RCA out though for it, so that's a copper out, but it has an optical copper mix combo jack on it. That's the purple and blue one that doesn't have the thing on it. Doesn't have the. Then we had the RCA RP7901A. That is the oldest one. The one that the first time you said it had like this really bad like buzz and hum and everything like that, and it does through the headphone jack, but not through the optical out.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest thing to this for me. Is, I'm sure you'll know this. We talk over them. Is that these headsets, if you listen to them over just the regular audio jacks, are so distinct. I mean, I've only listened to most of these once, and I was pretty certain I would be able to pick out every single one of them.
Yep.
But over that line out, they are so similar. The audio quality is so vastly improved. It's incredibly impressive.
But not all of them were through a line out. Then we had the Sony DCJ01. That's an MP3 A-track and CD player. So it's a personal CD player. That's the one that was like the silver one with the clear top. And then we had the Sony DNE 330, and that's the one that didn't have a line out on it.
Yeah.
That's the one. So we had one that had an optical we had two that had optical and copper line out combo jacks on it. That's the first Sony, the DEJ 825, the purple and blue one. The RCA RP7901A had it also. But then the DCJ01 just had a copper out. It didn't have an optical out.
Yeah.
And then the DNE 330, that was the one that was so weak. When you were like, it's not loud enough because I'd forgotten to turn the volume all the way up. But that's the one that was just through the headphone out. Okay. So I kind of want to see if we're crazy. Because I don't think that either of us felt like we knew what was going on with these.
Oh, yeah. I certainly didn't know. I made some guesses. But, so let's see. So this is mine.
Yep.
We'll go over them. Okay. So, I got 0 of them right. Now, the one I did prefer, though, because we asked you which ones they prefer, I preferred A. That's the DEJ825, purple and violet.
Okay.
So, okay. Now, what I did do is I can see I transposed a couple of them. But that's fine. So, I got none of them right. Let's switch over to yours.
So, but you thought that you couldn't get any of them right. You couldn't tell a difference between the 4. But you did, you could tell a difference between them, but you couldn't tell enough of a difference to be able to say, this is this one, and that is that one, after only listening to it one time.
Exactly. All of those, like, audio whines that you kind of heard from the other ones, or the muddiness, all of it just completely gone. Yep. I certainly, I still have the one I preferred, was the DEJ825, that kind of purple and violet one. And that's the one when I listened to them in person, I still preferred.
Yeah.
So there's surely some sort of change there, but like all of the negative qualities that I've kind of said about these over the last couple episodes just completely evaporate. You can tell there's a difference. But it's not really at the level that it's a quality difference anymore. It's kind of like, as we were talking about with a second ago, switching between devices. It's almost like a personal preference.
Right.
You know?
It's like, I like Moscato and you like bourbon. And, you know, neither of us is wrong.
Yeah.
This is my ears hear like a warmth to this, or like I get a clarity here.
Yeah, it's like that
there's
sound
a forwardness.
balance.
Yeah.
You know? Do you like the highs more than the mids? Do you like mids more than the lows? You know, it's that sort of thing. All of them were still clear. None of them were, like, muddied. It's just, you know, where do you like that sound balance?
Yeah.
Okay, switching over to yours. Let me get the key here. So you also got every one of them wrong. But we did agree that the purple and violet one sounded the best.
So I got that one. I got that one right.
Well, no, we still got it wrong, but we just both agreed that one was the one that sounded the best.
Well, wait. So which one did I pick on my? I picked the.
Oh, which one did you think was that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so you did slot 4 on that, and the key for slot 4 was the RP7901A, that solid black one.
Really?
Yeah, I mean it's such an audio improvement, right?
Yeah.
Like that thing.
That's crazy.
I would never voluntarily listen to it through just like the regular audio jack, but you can barely tell the difference when over that line out.
That might become my CD player that sits over there.
Yeah, I mean.
So if you had that, like, which one you thought was the?
Oh yeah. I'll switch back to mine and look at that. So the one I thought was that one. Okay, wait, I gotta pull that. I need a key for it too. So the one I thought that one was the DCJ01, that gray and silver one.
That's awesome too, because that one, while that's like a legendary CD player.
Yeah.
Like, wow. That's pretty awesome. I mean, both the RCA and that one are supposed to be like really great, and hearing it out of their line out jacks, that's pretty awesome. So I've got Venus's key right here. So tell me what did she get any of them right?
Yeah, I can find her sheet. Where is her sheet?
I think you've got it flipped around right there. It's the second one, I believe. Like, go back to the second one and look, because it has a back to it. The other ones didn't.
Yep. There we go.
Okay.
All right. So Venus got 2 of them right.
What? That's crazy. She was just randomly guessing, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because she never heard any of them before, so she was just randomly guessing.
She went through this whole exercise with me.
Oh, really?
The first time.
Well, there you go. Okay, but she preferred the one that was in slot 4, because she did the slot instead of the letter, and she also preferred the DEJ825, purple and violet. So 3 people all agreed that was the best sounding one.
Well, so that we agree that was the best sounding one. She is the only one that picked it up and not knowing what that one was.
Yeah, well, she also the one in there, she put in like the wrong slot. She got the 2 middle ones right. So she got the DCJ01, that gray and silver, and the DNE 330, the black and orange.
Okay, so
she got those 2 correct.
But what's the one that she thought was the DEJ 825?
We don't know, because what she picked was just she like put the slot number, not the letter.
I realize that, but what did she put in that slot number?
Well, the slot number, yeah, she did put the purple and violet one. But what I'm saying is, she didn't guess the headset. She only guessed
what was the one that was actually there though in that?
Yeah,
slot?
which was the purple and violet one.
Okay, but what was the one that she thought she was putting there?
Which was the purple. That's why they matched. That's how I know she picked that one up.
No. What I'm saying is, let me see the key real quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just not being clear.
I 100% understand kind of what you mean, but you know, since she put the slot in and not the letter, we don't know what she thought she was picking. We just know what she did.
She thought she was picking B, the 7901. According to what she knows about the 7901. Okay. Because she knew that was she didn't like really know, because she didn't have like a reference, but she knew that was the oldest one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she'd been through this thing with me before. I'm sure that if I ask her about it, though, she'd go, I have no idea between the 2, but she had actually done this thing with me before.
Yeah, still though. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of like, you know, guessing, but maybe going in blind serves you better than trying to really pick it out, because it's really is a world difference. They sound like different headset. Well, not headsets, but CD players.
I think one of the things, I already knew this, and like seeing the device when you're touching it gives you a prejudice on it. Like, and I don't know why. And even like doing certain things with it, right? Mm-hmm. But when you can't see it, it completely like eliminates that stuff. That's why I love these like blind taste tests that we do and stuff like that, because it's just so like, we don't know what we're talking about. We're just a bunch of idiots sitting over here sometimes. But I love it. Like, at the same time, like I sit there and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I don't know. And I need to go back and like try to hear these differences that I could hear before.
Yeah.
And that's like the thing that I have that makes it really interesting for this. I don't really like, I love to listen to like audiophile like stuff. The Cheap Audio Man is my guy right now that I go to listen to stuff that he has to say about audiophile equipment, which if you haven't listened to his stuff, you should totally go check it out if you like audiophile stuff. But I get in these moments where I'm like, am I really hearing that between these devices? And like, I know which one I like because of the way that I look at it. Like, I even bought 2 of those DEJ 825s because they're awesome, right? I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with those. They are completely badass little devices. But at the same time, the fact that the one, like, I bought like a busted ass old like RCA. I mean, it's supposed to be a good CD player, but I was like, I don't know about this. It is a good CD player.
Yeah. Well, I'll say I had pretty much the opposite experience, because when you put that one in front of me, I was like, oh man, yeah, that's how they used to build them. Big, sturdy, like that looks real solid. I bet this is going to sound amazing. And I listened to it, I was like, I'm not so sure about this anymore. But, you know, they just completely went away when you put it through that audio out. So I wonder how much of that is the lower quality of just the regular headphone jack versus, since these are all used, I bet those headphone jacks have been used incredibly heavily.
Yeah.
You know, how much is wear and tear on those? And maybe people, just like you said, as you growing up, you didn't really use the audio out that much. I certainly never used the audio out on any of my CD players.
No, I use the audio out all the time on my CD players. My ears are like destroyed probably now from listening to loud music. But yeah, so I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, it's like, I wonder, like, how much is there? I mean, we'll probably never know, but it's just a thought, right? Like, well, if we could go back and like got that thing brand new off a shelf 20 years ago, what did it sound like?
There's the possibility that I could find one that's like, you know, new in box, like new old stock. If I did, I'd buy one, even if it was.
It'd be a fun experiment.
Yeah. I kind of want to now. I've been trying to get these, like, there's like this like lower quality but like older Sony CD player that I always wanted. That gray one that I always get. They're always messed up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're always messed up every time I get them. I'm gonna quit trying to get them. But I've gotten like 2 of them. No, 3 of them. No, 2 of them. I've gotten 2 of them, and every single one of them was like messed up. And all the rest of them that I see online, it's like, you know, doesn't work, like, you know, bad. And the sellers, like, they probably get them, they test them, it plays for like a few seconds, but then like after a few seconds, like it starts like. I kind of want to like do some more content like this. Are you enjoying doing this content?
Yeah, it's kind of fun to do the back and forth, the see how are you really perceiving something. Like, I really enjoyed the wine one. I've enjoyed the audio one.
I'm thinking about doing another audio one that's like taking a whole bunch of MP3 players and doing them in that same box setup and seeing if you can pick out the difference, putting all the same soundtrack on, all the same files, make them all MP3s, high quality, and see if you can tell the difference between the 3.
In all honesty, it could be fun to do, because this one really surprised me. Like, the wine one, that was fun. It was fun to try them all, but like, we didn't really have a frame of reference apart from just trying to guess, like, you know, what country things are in. But this audio one, it just blew me away, because it was like they were completely different devices. If you told me that you had pranked me and there were 4 completely different, or they were just 4 copies of the same CD player, I probably would have believed you.
Yeah. I'm thinking about doing a thing too where, you know, like maybe I get a couple more of these and maybe like throw a high-end one in with some of the like really low end.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
And see if we can tell a difference. Like some that don't even have like optical outs or like line outs or something.
Yeah, I
like
think that would be good because I think it's a frame of reference. Because I think the thing that hits you here is once those audios are so similar, you lose all frame of reference.
Right.
You know, there's clearly still there subconsciously because we all kind of liked the same CD player in the end. But, you know, you can't make that sort of same judgment because they sound so different. When you put them on that scale of like, hey, cheap to expensive, you get to see where those prejudices in you. If a lowball guy really knocks it out of the park, are you just assuming it's a high-end one because you just don't believe a low-end one can sound this good, or vice versa. You know, maybe you're getting overcharged on that high-end one because it really doesn't sound that much better than the low-end one.
Well, this has been an exceptionally long episode of the Being Broadband podcast. Well, for our newer episodes, this is like harkening back to the days when we first started. Can you believe that we're 4 seasons in, which means that we're actually like 6 years old?
Yeah. I haven't even really thought about that originally, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've been doing this for like 6 years, Ricky. 6 years. We're old. But we are at the end of episode 20 of season 4 of the Beer and Broadband podcast. We have a Patreon and Twitter. We'd love for you to engage with us there. It's getting towards the end of our season. We've got about 4 more episodes left. We're going to get through episode 24. We might do a bonus episode at the end of the season. I'm not sure. But all that said, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.